Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm here with Juan from Juan Santiago TV, and we were gone from each other for 4 weeks. We didn't have a Sunday series, which is crazy. I know we've been pretty distracted with our own lives, and we're finally back together to do another Sunday series. This week, we are talking about karma. So we will see you on the other side. Alrighty, guys, so we are back with our new Sunday series on karma. And like we say, karma isn't always friendly. It can be good, it can be bad. So,
Yeah,
Juan, I know you mentioned previously when we were talking before we started this editing right here, this series, we were talking about some scenarios you went through, I went through, where it just seemed like people
yeah,
weren't always having the best of ethics. And how does karma play into that? So, first, I wanted you to talk to people a little bit about ethics, why it's important, and why that actually correlates to karma.
yeah, sure. You're right, April. I mean, I know that the people would love to hear the conversation that we had like 5 minutes ago, but that's for another time, not right now. But yeah, ethics. Ethics comes in at this topic because, as we were saying behind cameras, right? We were talking about ethics. It's about doing the right thing even when people are not watching you. So ask yourselves, are you doing the right thing? Because sometimes we think that we can cheat other people. Maybe it's money, maybe it's a lie, maybe it's a relationship. It could be anything, right? But eventually it affects you because you might think that you got away with it, but you know you
Mhm.
didn't. I mean, inside you always feel it, and I can say it from experience because I've done it. I've tried to do it. I'm not perfect, but it's never come back right. It's always been wrong. So sure, you need to be ethical, but if you aren't, life is always gonna come back and bite you at the moment that you most don't want it to be.
Yeah, that is very true. And that karma that comes back, right? These are called our karmic
Yeah,
lessons, which tie into karmic cycles. And these are all down to certain core principles that we have to learn, certain lessons. So, like Juan was talking about ethics, right? You want to do the right thing when people aren't watching. You want to do the right thing at all times, honestly, whether that's money,
yeah,
love, friendships, anything. Just always making sure you're doing the right logical thing because like you said, it will come back at the wrong time. And that's kind of how
mm,
karma works, is when, let's say, someone's on a roll, they're doing really well, and they're at the top of the mountain, but they screwed over a lot of people to get to the top of that mountain, or they cheated a lot of people
yeah,
out of money, or messed up with people's hearts, or broken bad friendships and things like that. When you're at the top of that mountain on the cost of other people's backs, that's right
sure,
when the universe will strike you with that karma. So you learn that lesson to not do those things over again. And, what we were talking about a little bit behind the scenes was different work scenarios, different scenarios where those things kind of happened. And if you're that person who is dealing with someone who is unethical, it can be very easy to get down on yourself. It can be very easy to feel set back and feel a little frustrated. I want you guys to know that if you are dealing with something like that, I want you guys to see the bigger picture and to know that if somebody is being unethical, you are actually a part of their lesson for them to learn. And by you continuing to be ethical, regardless of somebody else's unethical behavior, you're teaching them to be better in their lives. Whether they learn that lesson or not, that's their story and their prerogative. You just have to continue being
yeah,
your best and being ethical, and it will pay off in good karma for you in the future.
yeah. I think that your values have a lot to do with the way that if you are ethical or not. Sometimes you learn like some things from your parents, and maybe you thought in your life that it was the right thing to do, and it wasn't. It also happens at jobs. You may work for a person that's not ethical, and they tell you to do something that doesn't go with your values. And I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna use an example. I've been in sales for about 20 plus years, and I worked for an insurance company, a health insurance company, one of those for people, senior citizens, right? And they told me for a certain doctor that I needed to change all of their patients to this new plan. The thing is that if I did that without telling the patients, because they told me I didn't need to tell them the details, just tell them the necessary, they all would have lost a lot of coverage, like insurance for medical, let's say for a bed or for a nurse, or I mean, I would have gotten the commission, they would have gotten the sale, but I would have hurt like 50 people that they could have been my mom, my grandmother. You know what I did? Nothing. When they came, I told them the benefits, but I also told them what they would lose if they did it. So this may be a little shocking for people who work in sales. Some people say, well, you need to do what you need to do. It all depends. To me, I knew what I need to do. And to go fast forward a week after that, they let me go. And I knew it was coming because that was the ethics that the company ran through. They worked that way, and I didn't. So when I didn't do that, the doctor was mad, my boss was mad. And when they called me to the office and I sat down, I actually said, I know I am here. So just give me the check, what you owe me, and I'll leave. And I explained to them. They asked me, why did you do it? And I said, well, I couldn't do that. Actually, I couldn't do that. And the
Yeah.
company doesn't exist anymore. The company doesn't exist. I mean, imagine why.
Wow, that is so sad. That is so crazy that people
Yeah,
can be that way, especially to the
happens.
innocent ones. And I find this a lot that people or situations prey on those who seem weak. As for your
Yeah,
example, the elderly folks or even children who are very innocent. A lot of times, people who don't have the proper ethics go to those that they feel weak because they feel superior over them and like it's an easy manipulation, easy turn. So if you see someone
yeah,
doing that to you, you know, be aware of your surroundings, be aware of who those people are, their behaviors, what it looks like when people can be that way. Because sometimes it'll also be
yeah,
people you never expected. I've had scenarios like that. I'm in sales as well. So I have clients that do things that to me are completely unethical. Pay some people, don't pay others. Sometimes
yeah,
I don't get paid. It just how it goes, and it's not fun. Do I
yeah.
support it? No, but it's just a
No,
part of how it is, and it makes you learn a lot about those people. Um, so one of the things that I actually struggled with a little bit when I first started in my position was when things were unethical, how I handled that situation or how I would adapt to it. I would see certain things like stealing, cheating, lying, just a lot of betrayal in the industry.
yeah,
And because I grew up with morals that are very different, it was a hard adjustment to be in an industry that kind
wow,
of contradicts my personal, beliefs. So it's something I think I'm still a
yeah,
little bit, you know, still working through, but
yeah.
it's a learning curve.
We all need to do it. And the thing is, how can we unite this with karma? And I'm gonna give you an example. It's the same example that I use with when I'm doing a presentation. And it's easy. Just imagine that you're always planting seeds, right? And let's say that you grew a tree from that seed, and it's an apple tree. Um, some people have apple trees, but they're always fighting with it because they want oranges. And you can yell at the tree, you can hit it, you can do whatever you want with it, but you're always gonna have apples. Why? Because that's what you're putting into the ground. So karma is just like that. I mean, God isn't punishing you. Life isn't like, oh, you did this to me, I'm gonna hit you back. No, you're just getting back. It's like a mirror. You're getting back what you're giving out. So all of these people that have done wrong to others, it doesn't matter if it's in business or in relationships, they always get what's coming to them. Always. It might not be the way that you expect it to be. For instance, there are people who, let's say they want to be rich, they want to make a lot of money, but they focus on the ones who are, who nobody wants to talk to them. They're a-holes. People don't like them, and they think that that's the way. But when you see their life, it's not. They often have
Yeah.
troubled relationships. So why focus on that when you can focus on others that are at the same level but have better standards, they have better morals, they match yours. So in essence, karma is giving you back, as I said, it's giving you what you're giving out. So if you want to change what's coming back, I'm sorry, but you have to change. You can't. I mean, you can't sue karma. I'm sorry. There isn't a lawyer for that. You just need to, or either accept what you're getting or change what.
Exactly. And, just like how you said that are you there, Juan? Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
Okay. And just like, as well as business and dating, it's the same thing. If your ethics aren't there in dating and are looking for someone to be with, but you're messing around or you're fooling around or you're
yeah,
doing things you shouldn't be doing in ethics, it will come back and bite you. Whether that's in the current relationship
yeah,
you're in, the next one that turns around to be karma, it will come around and bite you. So you want to make sure that no matter the scenario that you're in life, whether that's a business, a relationship, a friendship, any kind of connection, if you are not nurturing it the right way, you are not watering it the right way, it will turn around and bite you later on. And it's
yeah,
always when you least expect it, and it's always when you absolutely don't want it to come back. It will. And it always comes back 10 times harder. So if you can, try your absolute best to just be in the right place at all times. Even if it feels like you're losing in the short end, maybe you gave up a certain deal or certain money, like Juan's example, when he wasn't going to make the
yeah,
commission for those elderly people. He was giving up money, right? Giving up a quick advancement. But by doing so, he was able to be with a better company in a better position, doing
yep,
better with better ethics and morals and ended up winning in the long run. You have to see these scenarios as, maybe a short-term loss, if you want to call it, for a long-term gain. Same thing with dating relationships. When I meet a guy who is not on my level or my standards, I walk away from it. Even if I was so excited or the date went so well or it seemed so great, I gave up that short-term gratification for long-term happiness. And that's one thing I've been trying to
yeah,
learn a lot too, is it's the same thing with ethics. If you run into somebody or a situation that's not so good and is wrong, give up
yeah,
that short-term gratification so that you can obtain something later on better through karma.
yeah. It's true. I mean, I'm sure that you all can understand this because it's happened to you or you've seen it happen to other people. Just don't be hard on yourself. Just check for what you're giving out. Let's say it's at the job. I mean, they're not treating you right, then find out how's your performance at your job because you're not gonna grow just because. I mean, I've worked with people who are now managers because they acted like managers when they were nothing. So they were seeding that tree. They were seeding the tree that they wanted, even though they didn't see the fruit. That's why I
Yeah.
give that example because we're always growing something. And just because you don't see it, it doesn't mean that it's not coming. And the same thing happens with karma in a negative way. Just because you think you're getting away with it, it doesn't mean it's going to last forever. I mean, we've seen it. People end up in jail all the time after years on the run, and that's not a way to live. I mean, why do that? Because you're always going to be under stress, so you're not fooling anybody. Just, I think that you could make like a list of how your life is right now, and try to find out what you're seeding into the ground and what you could change. Because if you're seeding anger, resentment, hate, I mean, let it go because you can't. It's like like my grandma with her garden. I mean, I always asked her, why are you planting all these flowers and why are you always taking out the weeds? And she said, because if you don't do it, the weeds overcome the flowers. And now I get it. I mean, as a metaphor, I get it. You need to weed out what you're doing that's not good all the time. It's not like once. And always plant more flowers. So it basically eventually, I mean, it overpowers the rest. And I can't believe I'm talking about flowers. I mean, my grandma will be so happy to listen to me. I'm talking about flowers.
Oh, that's so cute. Mine would be too. She has a bunch of flowers on her
Yeah.
patio. She always sits by. And also,
Well, she knows this. Yeah.
I want you guys to think about your legacy too and how you want to be remembered because at the end of the day,
Yeah.
you know, having money in your pocket is great, but money doesn't go in your coffin. So, how you're remembered and what a true value of somebody is the legacy they leave behind. Is that person an honest, loyal, caring,
Yeah.
hardworking person? That's the legacy that's carried. Are they someone who helps others? Are they someone who's you know a lending hand and reliable, or are they the a-hole who doesn't pay bills, who leaves you hanging, who lies about things, cheats on their wife or husband? Is that the legacy you
Yeah.
want? You have to decide what's the legacy that you want to be remembered by because you get remembered by what you're doing now, what you're doing today, and the decisions that you make today and every day going forward. That's how you're
Yeah.
remembered. Not by the last couple things you did in the couple years of your life. You are remembered as a legacy of everything you did throughout your span. So you want to make sure
Yeah.
that you are continuing to be ethical and moral and putting out, good seeds into the ground so that good things can come back to you. And even if, for example, let's
Yeah.
say a monetary situation you maybe got a little bit stiffed on, but the karma is given back to you in other ways like love, a good family, happy home, good friends, things like that. That's just as important. So karma can also give you these things back in different ways.
Yeah. It's true. Before, years before, I used to get angry when somebody did something to me, and I always said, I'm gonna get you back some way. I was very vengeful, and what eventually happened is that I began to trust in these laws because actually we should talk about these laws eventually. We like do a series about them, but the karmic law is something that when you understand it, you don't need to be vengeful anymore because it's gonna come and it doesn't have to be from you. Now, when somebody does something to me that it has happened, I always in my mind I have like a beach chair. I imagine myself taking the beach chair and putting it in the ground and sitting down with drinking like a beer or something, just waiting because it's gonna happen. I mean, the only thing that I have to do is sit down and wait till karma does whatever it is that it needs to do, because
Yeah.
it always does it. I don't need to worry. I hope I always bless the other person. Right when I can. Sometimes I'm really angry and I don't wanna. We are all human, but at least you can't control the people, but you can control how you respond to what they do. So if
Yes.
they're not being honest, if they're not being truthful, you can let them go and wish them well, but you know that they will receive what's coming to them. The question is, are you seeding the seed that you want? That's something that you should keep on thinking.
And also, I think it's very important that people understand that someone else's you know, actions or opinions have nothing to do with you. So sometimes we can get caught up in what other people do, what other
Yeah,
people say, right? And we can get offended by it, we can get taken aback by it, and all these different things. Um, but if someone does something else wrong, it has nothing to do with you. Someone else's choice, someone else's decision, someone else's opinion is completely irrelevant of yours and of your decisions and
yeah,
your opinions. I remember I used to get a little vengeful, kind of like how what you said, you know what I
yeah,
mean? And you realize as you get older and as you mature that none of that really matters. If someone else is doing something wrong, that's their prerogative and that's their life and their karma. What matters is, like you
yeah.
said, how you respond to it and how you let it affect your energy. Are you going to get upset? Are you going to harbor all this negative emotions about it? Or are you going to just let it go and, continue on being the happy, positive being that you are?
Well, you could always hit them with the pyramid thing that you have, the plaque with the pyramid, the dating thing that we made a couple of videos ago.
Oh,
If you don't know what we're talking about, you need to go back to the videos about relationship because
we're talking.
she has a pyramid. It's not a pyramid scheme, but it's a pyramid. It's funny as hell. I mean, I only imagine her taking it with her on dates and stuff.
I don't
Do you have it
take
on a
that.
napkin? Do you have it on a napkin? Tell me the
No.
truth.
No, I don't. I don't. The pyramid's good. It's a good scale.
Yeah, it's a good skill. I mean, if you make it into a plaque, you could use that as self-defense. I mean, you have that on your favor.
Yeah. It's not bad. Don't worry, you guys.
No, no. I mean, yeah. I mean, when you get married, you need to take that plaque and put it somewhere else, or just throw it into the sea, or we could give it to the viewers, right?
We'll see if we'll see when that day comes. We'll just give the plaque to the viewers, whoever wants it
Exactly.
next. If it works for me,
That's
it'll
a
work for
great
you.
idea. That's a great idea.
And that goes right with ethics, right? You know, a guy who has the same ethics as me, it's gonna be up there in that platinum
Yeah,
box,
and
right?
it's the truth. Yeah, it's the truth. I mean, in relationships, it's the same thing. I mean, you if you have great ethics, sure, 100% of the people that you attract aren't gonna have it. It's cool, but at least you know what to look for.
Yeah,
If you don't know what to look for, if we're always cheating people, or if you're lying maybe in other places, then you're gonna be lied to by the person that you most need him or her to be truthful. I mean, as I said, I don't know how things get to come, so we're not all perfect. I mean, we all do our things, right? But at least try to maintain, see what your values are, and try to be, faithful to it. Because I made a choice with my story about the job, and it cost me my job. I mean, it's something that not everybody I know is going to do it. I'm not saying that you should do it and cost you your job, but if it is really important to you, try to find a way, wiggle it out so you don't feel as bad. Or maybe it's a sign that you're not in a good job or in a good relationship. Or
yeah.
I mean, because it's not good. It's not good for everyone. If I did it till today, and it happened like 12 years ago, I still wouldn't feel good if I did what they told me to do.
And I love that you just said that because I take that on like a dating aspect side too. How you said it with the job
Yeah,
is, let's say you're with someone and you start to see behavior that's not okay, like stealing or lying or, screwing their friends over. That's not behavior that you're going to want to, keep around because it's going to rub
yeah,
off on you, even if, same thing with a job or a business partnership. If somebody's doing unethical behavior, whether you're guilty of it or not, you are going to be associated with it for being a partner in that, whether
yeah,
that's a partner in a relationship or business or a work, you are going to be seen as just as guilty, even if you're not doing those behaviors. So association is very
yeah,
important as well when it comes to ethics and karma. If you're a good person, you're constantly surrounded by bad people doing bad things, you're just as guilty by being a part of it, by being
yeah.
associated and accepting that intolerable behavior.
Yeah, I don't know if you've noticed this, but the people who do these things are the people who most get offended when it happens to them. It's like gossip. If you're a person who's addicted to gossip and you're always gossiping, and then you find out your best friend is talking behind your back, you could get hysterical because, my God, why did she do this? But hello, you've been doing this all this time. What type of people do you think are going to be in your life?
Yeah, exactly. And you have okay, there was this one quote. I talked to you guys a little bit about it earlier. It was a conversation between Ed Milet and JP Spears, and they were talking about happiness. And
Okay.
like I said earlier, you have to give up short-term gratification to achieve long-term happiness, which are two very different things. And
Yeah.
a lot of times
True.
people mistake gratification for happiness because they think the new
Yeah.
car, the next car, the next relationship, or that quick bit of money or whatever is going to make me happy. But that's actually gratification. That's our short-term gratification.
Yeah.
Quick, it's easy, it's there. Happiness is usually something you have to sacrifice in order to gain in long term. So it's the same thing with ethics or things that maybe you have to sacrifice in the beginning, finding that better job that's more in alignment with you, giving up a certain deal because the person you're working with is just not a good person, whatever it is,
Yeah.
letting go of that certain friendship that's toxic and negative. You have to sometimes sacrifice in that short term during that gratification period to achieve something better off for you in the long term. Karma will always come around. It will always pay off. It's just a matter of time. Always a matter of time.
Sure. Yeah.
Good people
Yeah.
win.
It always happens. Yeah. Just remember that the law of karma, which is cause and effect, has a sister, and it's called the law of gestation. And we can talk about that in the future. But the law of
Yeah,
gestation says that things happen at the perfect time and in the perfect way. And I'm not talking only about blessings. I'm also talking about, failures and problems and issues. If that's what you're seeing, believe me, eventually you're gonna get busted. I mean, I had a cousin. I love him to death. He's a great guy. When he was younger, he got into drugs, like selling drugs, and even though he was a year off of it, he wasn't with the gangs or anything. Um, he went to jail because
wow.
he was involved, and there was an investigation. So eventually caught up to him, and he now has a great life. He has kids. He's a great person. But at that point, it happened, and I know other people that haven't gone to jail, and but they still don't have a good life because they didn't do anything to fix that part. I mean, you can't change what happened, but at least if you know that you made a mistake, which we all do, um, we could always change what we're doing now, so we stop growing that type of that type of seeds.
Exactly, exactly. What can we do now to get rid of things that are not so good, things that can hurt us in the long run, things that aren't ethical, or can maybe persuade us to make the wrong decisions to be unethical later on? And,
Yeah,
like we were saying, you're guilty by association. If you're around people who are constantly making unethical decisions, before you know it, there may become a time when you think, well, I guess it's not that
yeah,
bad. Everyone else is doing it. I can't too. And I've seen this happen so
sure,
much where people kind of sway from being that strong person into adopting behaviors that aren't ethical. And then years down the road, they say,
yeah,
what happened or why did I end up this way? And, but they don't notice it in that current period. Have you ever experienced that one?
yeah. It's happened a lot. I mean, and I've met a lot of people, and sometimes we all have to check ourselves. I mean, especially when I was a musician, like a billion years ago. Um, I had a lot of friends, but I mean, I can't say they were the bad guys because I was with them and I did the same things. So we were being influenced. I mean, sure, we did it all, but I was doing it too. So it's not like they made me do it because they didn't. I mean, I was there. I was just as an accomplice as they were. So they were influencing me, and I was influencing them. You need to learn, and I paid like triple for all of that. I mean, it doesn't mean that I'm not judging the things that I did as bad or good. It's just that the things that came back were a reflection of that, and I needed to see that. I needed to understand it. And at first, you're tempted to say, it's the world, it's something outside, it's the people. No, it's you. I mean, when you change, it's like Wayne Dyer used to say, when you change what you think, your life starts to change. So when you change what you think, you change what you do, and when you change what you
Yeah.
do, then you change the rest. So yeah,
And you
that's the
change your
start.
karma, right? You change your karma.
Exactly, you change your karma. Yeah,
And
that's
that's where
true.
it all
That's
really
true.
boils down to, you guys, is truly making sure that you are being ethical in all situations. And like we were saying earlier, if you get down to a situation where you're maybe being screwed over by someone or a relationship or a friend or a business, something, anything, honestly, try not to take it to heart. I
Yeah.
know it can be easy to blame yourself. It can be easy to say, oh, why is this happening to me? And fall in that victim mentality. But really, it's just, you know, karma comes back around for everyone. The good will come to the good, the bad will go to the bad. And it might not always come in the way you expected because the universe works in
Yeah.
mysterious ways, but it will come to you in due time. So,
Yeah.
try to always be putting your best foot forward and always doing your absolute best. And that will come back to you. You will eventually be surrounded by better people, better business relationships, better relationships in general, and it'll all pay off. That's all I can
Yeah.
tell you.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. It's true. And always don't get angry with when you see people like getting away with it. Don't worry. Just don't worry about that. I mean, they will always get what's coming. Um, you might be tempted to think, ah, they get away with everything. That don't fall into that because then you're gonna think that you can do it too, and that's not good. So don't fall into it. Believe me, they have their demons. You may not see them, but they're feeling them. I mean, it always happens.
Exactly. Well, Juan, is there anything else you want to say to anyone about karma, about ethics, and about how they relate?
Yeah, sure. I mean, just remember, just think as your life as a garden. Like whatever you're seeing in your garden right now is what you're seeding. It's not anybody else's fault. It's just your fault. And I don't mean it like in a blame. I mean it as a personal responsibility. Just see it as it is. Don't judge yourself and ask yourself, am I seeding the right seeds? Am I growing what I want to grow? And if not, what needs to go? What needs to go? Like the weeds, like friends, and what needs to come in as what's the new thing? What's the new habits? Are you setting goals? Are you watching enough of our videos? All of those nice things. You need to put them there so you start to grow better looking flowers. So from this, I think I'm going to do a video of botanical things or something. I don't know. I'll think
Yeah, you
about that.
do a video on gardens for your grandma. She'd love that.
I don't know. I don't have a green thumb.
She would love it.
I'm sure she does. She's 103, but she still understands everything. Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. That's good that she's still kicking, doing well. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Well, good. Well, all right, you guys, we had a great session today on ethics, on karma. If you have any questions, let us know below. We'll let you know if we keep doing this topic in other videos or
Yeah.
if we do the different laws that Juan was talking about, which I think would be really fun. Talk about different laws, right?
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that and we'll let you guys know what we do for next week. I hope you guys have a wonderful week.
Bye.